What if you're able to get 12% or 14%, better still 18% return from investing in an ETF, as compared to the average 10% that is expected from S&P 500 ETF? You will agree with me that the better the returns, the more money in your pocket, right? Whenever I come across ETFs that have great returns and a good track record, I go all in with my research. And if they look really good based on my research, I waste no time to throw these ETFs into my portfolio. All ETFs that I will share in today's video have consistently beaten the S&P 500 and are absolutely crushing it. They are great alternatives to the S&P 500 that could make you a lot more money over time. Welcome back to another video. My name is Ayoluwa, and you can expect to see new videos from me every Sunday where I talk all things money and personal finance. You will love it here, so please like this video and subscribe to this growing family if you like what you see. The S&P 500 ETF that I will use as the benchmark for today's video is Vanguard S&P 500 ETF with ticker symbol VOO. VOO has an expense ratio of 0.03%, a 5-year annualized return of 13%, and 10-year annualized return around the 12% mark. For today's video, I'll provide information on the expense ratio for each of the ETFs that I will share, as well as the 5-year and 10-year annualized return, which will sort of help us compare these ETFs to the benchmark of VOO. The idea is that we keep our fees low around the 0.03% mark while we gun for good returns. The first ETF that I'm going to talk you through is Vanguard Growth ETF with ticker symbol VUG. This ETF tracks or seeks to track the performance of US Large Cap Growth Index. So if you want an ETF that aims to match the performance of the largest growth stocks, this is your go-to. I really like the fact that the fees or expense ratio here is only 0.04%, which makes it comparable to VO in terms of fees. Its performance has been absolutely phenomenal with a 5-year annualized return of 15.8% and 10-year annualized return of 14.6%. VUG is made up of 199 large cap stocks, and I'm sure you're already familiar with the top 3 holdings of this ETF, which are popular companies like Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia. As you will see shortly, most of the other ETFs that I will share in today's video will also have these 3 companies in their top holdings. Okay, moving on to our next ETF, Vanguard Information Technology ETF, VGT. This ETF has so much hype around it, and that is not surprising since technology has become an inseparable backbone of our existence. In the past 1 year only, it has grown 33% as of the time of this video, which is simply mind-blowing. This ETF pretty much measures the investment return of stocks in the information technology sector, specifically stocks of companies that serve the electronics and computer industries. Let's have a look at this ETF in a little more detail. Vanguard Information Technology ETF seeks to track the investment performance of MSCI US Investable Market Information Technology 2550 Index, an index of stocks of large, medium size, and small US companies in the information technology sector. It has 313 stocks in the fund, and similar to VUG, Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia are the top 3 holdings here. While this ETF is supposedly a tech ETF, some big tech giants like Google, Amazon, and Meta are missing from its holdings. And that's something that I thought to point out here and for you to be aware of. If you buy this ETF as a tech ETF, with the hopes that it will bring exposure to the tech sector, this ETF might not exactly serve that purpose, since it is missing some big names like Google, Meta, and Amazon. These are not considered to be in the information technology sector. The expense ratio for VGT is 0.1%, which is not a bad fee to pay for 5-year return of 19.4% and 10-year return of 19.8%. Let me give you an idea of what the impact of the higher returns is in dollar terms. If you're to invest $1,000 in an S&P 500 ETF like VO specifically, $1,000 per month for 10 years at an annual rate of return of 12.37%, after 10 years you would end up around $217,000. If instead of investing in VO, you decided to go with VGT that has a 10-year annualized return of 19.79%, you could end up with $314,375. That's about $100,000 more without any extra efforts, like just based off of you choosing an ETF with a higher return than the default S&P 500 ETF. That's really amazing and it's crazy. The next ETF on our list is MGK, Vanguard Mega Growth ETF. This ETF seeks to track the performance of the US Mega Cap Growth Index, thereby providing exposure to the largest growth stocks in the US market. MGK has only 79 stocks in its holdings, which is a relatively smaller number as compared to what we saw for VUG and VGT. Obviously, investing in this ETF means you want significant growth and appreciation of your portfolio. And it is not surprising that Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, and Meta are some of the top holdings. The technology and consumer discretionary sector makes up an overwhelmingly bigger portion of the sector diversification. With a 5-year return of 16.8% and 10-year return of 15.4%, this ETF definitely ticks the box of consistent, excellent past performance. Expense ratio is at a reasonable 0.07%, higher than the fees for S&P 500 VOO. But you also get better returns from MGK as compared to VOO. I'm quite bullish on this next ETF, and that's because it's not only a tech ETF, it has exposure to other sectors, and its past performance is simply incredible. Invesco NASDAQ 100 ETF QQQM is based on the NASDAQ 100 index. The index includes securities of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial companies listed on NASDAQ. Expense ratio here is on the slightly higher side of 0.15%, which is the highest as compared to the other 3 ETFs that I have shared previously in this video. While companies in the information technology sector makes up almost half of the holdings here, communication services, consumer discretionary, consumer staples, and companies in the healthcare sector are also included in the holdings. In the past 1 year alone, the price of this ETF has appreciated by 36%. Its 5-year past performance is at 18.53%, similar to the 10-year performance of 18.35%. If you want that one ETF that has great exposure to different sectors, offering good diversification as well as good returns, you should definitely add this to your list and to your portfolio. The last ETF that I'll be sharing in today's video is Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, SCHD. You guys know that I just have to throw in a dividend ETF somewhere in the mix, right? Because cash is king. SCHD is one of those ETFs that I keep loading in my portfolio. SCHD tracks the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index, and this index generally measures the performance of high dividend yielding stocks in the US, which are companies that have a record of consistently paying dividends. It has a 10-year annualized return of 11% and a dividend yield of 3.3%. Not only do you get good dividends from this ETF, the price of the ETF has also increased steadily since inception, and that shows that the ETF has good value and solid growth potential. Since inception, it has appreciated by 12.8%. Most of its holdings are in the financial sector, followed by the healthcare and consumer staples sector. This definitely throws in some balance and stability to anyone's portfolio. It has an expense ratio of 0.06%, and its top 10 holdings are some OG companies like PepsiCo, Verizon, and Pfizer. I should mention here that the past performance is no guarantee of future results. When it comes to the financial markets, circumstances can change really quickly and unexpectedly. So will the growth we have seen in the past continue in the future? Guys, honestly, no one knows. We can only use the past performance for our research. We all must wait to see how the market performs in the future. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, these ETFs are great alternatives to the S&P 500 ETF. But I am not trying to replace the S&P 500 ETF with these ETFs. Instead, I want to build my portfolio for maximum profitability by introducing these ETFs with pretty good returns alongside my good old, always reliable S&P 500 ETF. I will never discard a broad market ETF like VOO from my portfolio. And you will always find me dollar cost averaging my investment in VOO at every point in time. So all these really nice ETFs that I shared in today's videos should be held alongside the S&P 500 ETF of your choice. I just thought to put that out there so we are all on the same page when it comes to these ETFs. YouTube thinks you will enjoy this video right here, where I share how you only need 4 ETFs to make good money in the stock market. Thank you for watching to this point. Please like, share, and subscribe. These little gestures help me know that you appreciate this content. Thank you, and cheers to a life of options. See you in the next one. Bye.